Hi, guys. Live from our cryptid camper. I'm Tom here with my good friend Shay, and we'd like to thank you for joining us for season 1, episode 21 of the Scare Your Pants Off Our American Road Trip podcast. In today's episode, we are setting up camp in Texas. So how you doing today, Shay?
Great. Our podcast is old enough to drink and buy marijuana in some states.
We are officially legal now. Unbelievable that we're on episode 21. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So, what's new?
So I get not too much. I watched over yesterday. Those are the words I was saying. Yesterday I watched. So when we release these, it's actually quite a few months after we recorded them. So what I'm about to say is not going to be shocking news to anybody. But um, last night being a Friday, my fiance and my son and I watched Studio 666.
Oh, I want to see this so bad. I want to see it so bad. How was it?
It was so obviously it is deliberately bad. It was so bad, but it was so good bad. It was so good bad. It has a kill in it that makes my top 10 horror movie kills, if not my top 5, honestly.
Wow, that's impressive.
Because it was so it was awesome. It was so bloody and just it was gross and weird, and it was awesome. So it was so well done. And Dave Grohl is so funny. Woke up this morning though to find out that Taylor Hawkins actually passed away last night.
Yeah, only 50
Very sad.
years old.
I
Only
know.
50. Way too young. Did they release how he died or yet?
All I know is that he went to the hospital with chest pain. So I don't. They don't have a lot of information out about it right now. But I mean,
So sad.
it's awful, and my heart goes out to everybody who knew him and whatnot. So, but the movie was so funny, and they actually filmed it during the pandemic in secret.
That's so cool. That's so cool.
Yeah.
I don't even know too much about it. I've just seen like one or two previews about it, and I'm just like, yeah, I got to see this. And Dave Grohl and everything I see him popped up in, he is great and funny. It's so tongue in cheek, but he's good, and
Yep.
he's a very talented dude. Yeah, I'm excited. I might have to rent that at some point this weekend.
It's so very worth it, and it's funny because at one point you can tell from the trailer, so I'm not ruining anything. You can tell that Dave Grohl becomes possessed from the trailers, and he turns into such a diva, which is not anything you ever hear about Dave Grohl because he's just not. And but they do this thing in the movie that while filming it, it wasn't scripted. It's just something that Dave Grohl was like, "Hey, this will be funny," and he gets everybody to do a high five, and he calls it the Pearl Jam high five, and the whole lot of them get together and they're just like high fiving, and it's to kind of poke fun at the 10 album color cover by Pearl Jam, and
Yep.
Eddie Vedder had no idea. I love this. He had no idea they were doing that until like the movie was made, and he just thought it was the funniest thing. I love when bands like poke at each other, and I just love that stuff.
Yeah, that's great. And they're two great bands too. That's awesome. Oh, I can't wait to see it. I can't wait. I started, but I fell asleep because I work nights and everything. So a lot of times I'm starting a movie at 2:30 in the morning and stuff.
Yeah.
But what I've seen so far, I'm really liking Antlers. Wow.
Oh my. Yep. So where you're just watching it and you're not all the way through it. I'm not gonna dive too. I know you know why I love the movie,
Yeah.
but oh my goodness. Yeah, no, it's great. And then they have Black Phone is coming out, going to be available to rent soon too, and that's another one. But Antlers, you're gonna love it. It does not disappoint. It's right up your alley. It's right up our alley. It's gonna be awesome.
I've liked, like I said, what I've seen. I am very much liked, and I'm definitely tonight gonna put that on for sure because yeah, he's so good. He's just so good, and it just yeah, I looking forward to it. Have you seen Nightmare Alley? I haven't seen it,
Yeah.
so is it good? Yeah, okay,
Put me
okay.
on the spot, why don't you? So I I guess it depends what you're going into it expecting.
Mhm,
So if you're going into it expecting it to be even a little scary, you're going to be disappointed. If you're going into it expecting it to be like really like a horror movie, you're going to be disappointed.
mhm.
Um it is like dark fantasy kind of, and it's if I hadn't watched it thinking it was going to be a horror movie, which is how they depict it in the trailers. They really play it like it's going to be this like unsettling, creepy, scary horror
Mhm.
movie. And I know I'm definitely desensitized to a lot, and I don't scare super easily, but I was disappointed in it as a horror movie, but like I liked it as,
I've
Bradley Cooper was amazing.
got a
He's
great
always
cast.
amazing. So, but
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. It's just one of the like I've been. It's in my watch list, and it's like I always when I go to okay, what am I got to catch up on? I always go to start it, and then I find something else that takes my attention a little bit more because I think I did start it and watch like the first 10 minutes of it and stuff, and it was like, oh, this is different than what I thought it was going to be.
yeah, it doesn't. There's there's some like gore to it. There's definitely like a couple brutal scenes, and there's definitely like a little bit of a ghostly aspect to it, and but not it's no it's again I liked it as not a horror movie. It was okay.
Okay, cool. That's no, that's totally fair. I was just, yeah, I didn't know too many people had seen it, and I was like, well,
Yeah,
yeah, I know you watch a lot of movies, so I was, I'll keep it in my watch list. I'll get to it at some point or another.
yeah.
I got so much to catch up on. It's crazy. So, but anyway, so I think this week you have a cryptid for us.
I do.
Oh,
This week I'm going to talk about the so I'm going to do this at least one other time, I'm sure. I'm going to talk about the Beast of Bear Creek, and I'm going to mess that up next time probably. Um, the Beast of Bear Creek originates in the town of Clio, Texas. Uh, the origin story to this beast is really kind of cool and kind of has hints of a correlation I make way too often, but uh, I'll let you all decide what you feel about that. It's believed that there was once a Native American shaman who possessed the ability to shapeshift. You
all
know,
right. Yep. I'm already seeing.
it is said that this shaman was one of the only survivors of their tribe that was brutally slaughtered in an attack. That's awful. Uh, it's believed that the shaman shapeshifts into a large wolf and roams around in search of any white men to repay the death they caused his people. And it is said that in some of the sightings of this wolf, that it is sometimes bipedal.
Okay.
It eats or attacks any livestock or people that are out after dark and unlucky enough to cross his path. So the cryptid was so short, and I honestly couldn't find a lot of accounts or sightings. Just your very standard, you saw it running dart across the road, or saw it darting across the woods, or and hearing the rustling and seeing the shadowy figures and stuff like that. But I enjoy any cryptid that is based on a human. I like that. It's so interesting to me, but that's all I got for my cryptid.
No, I love it. And it's okay. Like I said, we occasionally we have a some of these are short, just like the Strange Encounter or the Haunting, and that's okay because I mean you'll see with a lot of these, sometimes there's just not a lot of detail, and certain states aren't super known for their cryptids or their strange encounters and stuff. But and I know you didn't say it, but I have to.
I'm so glad.
It's you know, you're talking about shaman and what it does and everything. All right, my mind goes two places: Skinwalker, Wendigo. Yeah, right there. I mean, and what I've learned from you and through our research and stuff, that Skinwalkers and Wendigos are very similar, and in a lot of their thing, and a lot of the stuff that happens and that they do. So that's immediately where my mind went. Shaman, we know Skinwalker, you know, as Native American lore, specifically Navajo, and that, oh, excuse me, that it deals with magic, and that's what a shaman is, you know, is dealing with magic, and you know, depending on the tribe and whatever, there's, you know, some have good magic and bad magic, some it's all magic's bad, so you know, it all kind of depends on the tribe and what part of the world or country and that they're from. But I mean, obviously, that's where I had to go, and I'm assuming because you kept saying I'm not going to say it, that that's what you were thinking as well.
Yep.
So,
100%.
yeah, which is, and we know, you know, we know down in that area, we did our episode on Arizona and Utah. We've talked about skinwalkers and stuff, and or Wendigos. We know that they're prevalent in that area, especially the skinwalker area. So, yeah, that's where my mind goes. And like you said, I too love when it's based on a human, and I love and I like it when it's almost like a morality tale in a sense, where it's like they were wronged and now they're coming for their revenge. They're coming for, okay, you decimate, and we know what the white man did to the Native Americans throughout North America and South America and wiped them out. I was just reading about like the Aztecs and, you know, like how they lost 15 million people in 5 years to a strand of salmonella E. coli that the Europeans brought over and stuff. And I always just laugh because, you know, you got this racist, and we might have we can decide later if we cut this out, but you know, these racists always talk about, you know, oh, the dirty whatever from this part of the world, this country, that and stuff. And in reality, the white man and the Europeans are the ones that decimated most of the world with their dirty diseases. So it's yeah, no, I love it. They don't all have to be long to make like an impact, and I think that's really cool. I really do.
No, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I find I've come to love all this cryptid stuff so much now. It's like I just find it so interesting. So interesting. So all right. Well, this week I had The Haunting. And again, we're in Texas, and there's a lot of haunts that we could have stopped by and seen and done. And I mean, because it's such a big state with a lot of history, been around for hundreds of years and stuff, a couple hundred years. So, but I went with one that I found pretty interesting. Have you heard of the ghost town of Terralingua?
No, I love ghost towns though, so I'm excited.
Me too. There's something about a ghost town. Like, there's something about this, like, bustling city or town that just, you know, is just bustling for years and decades. And then all of a sudden, you know, over the course of, you know, maybe 10 years, it becomes a ghost town. And then it's just like, I just find that fascinating. Just, and there's, you know, there's quite a few throughout the United States. But all right, the ghost town of Terralingua is, they say, is where the dead actually outnumber the living. So, which makes sense. It's a ghost town. So
yeah, that definitely makes sense.
In the mid 1880s, Jack Dawson discovered that there was the mineral cinnabar, yeah, cinnabar, in in the region around Terralingua, Texas. The metal mercury, or as it was known at the time in the 1880s, it was known as quicksilver, was becoming very popular and very in demand. And mercury or quicksilver is extracted from the cinnabar mineral. So in 1888, Dawson became the first person in the area to successfully extract the mercury from the quicksilver, or the mercury or quicksilver from the cinnabar, excuse me. So looking to profit from his find here, he began to spread the word and actually set up a mine. But the town go off to a slow start because it was just a single mine. And it wasn't until it was publicized in a bunch of newspapers around the country and some mining magazines that existed at the time, because mining was a bigger industry then. They actually even had magazines in the 1880s and 90s about mining. Did the town see any sort of real migration? But then at this point in the mid 1890s, as these publications became more and more spread and everything, people spreading the words to each other, we started to see this mass migration. And by 1900, there was 4 mines had been established within the town limits. And just 3 years later, by 1903, there was actually 7 mines now. So it's quite a few mines for one town. And by 1903, the population had swelled to well over 3,000 people. And so with the mines producing this cinnabar that they extracted the mercury from, and the start of World War II, the town began to start booming, because now they were, they're using this to help in the war efforts. And we know the economy in the past would get really good at wartime because the influx of goods that we needed, not only at home but abroad. So and unfortunately, though, this boom would not last forever. With the end of World War One and miners and residents succumbing to mercury poisoning, and with the scientists and people finding much less dangerous alternatives to mercury, because like you said, we get mercury poisoning, it can be pretty bad. You start losing your hair, you can actually go crazy from it. They began to find alternatives. So by 1930, the town was really started on its downswing when its largest mine was forced to close. The other mines would follow suit until the last mine closed in 1947 at the end of World War II. And almost all of the residents would leave soon after, leaving just the ruins of the town. So today, the population sits at anywhere, depending on the time of year and whatever, 58 to 110 people. Because there's not much. They opened a few businesses have reopened just to kind of, bite off the popularity of this being a ghost town and, playing into the haunts and the paranormal stuff. So, at the present, there's a saloon in town, or a bar. We call it a bar up here, but saloon. There's some type of hotel, motel, lodging, not super nice, but you got a lodging area. The Starlight Theater reopened, and there's a single restaurant that operates within the city or town limits. It's famous for its It also there's the cemetery, which I'll get a little more into afterwards. But and then I found this interesting. It is actually the home to one of the largest Dia de la Muerta celebrations in the world. Like it's second or third largest in the world.
Oh
So
wow.
I found that interesting. And interestingly, something I learned recently, and I'm not sure if you know this or not. I don't think we've talked about it, but we may have. Did you know that the Dia de la Muerta parades and celebrations only came about after James Bond Spectre, starring Daniel Craig as James Bond?
What? The what? Really?
Yes.
That's like no, hold on. Give me a second, because I'm not okay with that. Hold on. The
So
whole but they still do like they've always done like the little there is like a Day of the Dead though, right? Like they're
yeah,
really
yeah,
okay.
that the day exists. That the actual day, the Dia de la Muerta, that day does exist. But it was traditionally, was a day within Mexico and some other, Spanish, Hispanic or Spanish speaking cultures to celebrate their dead relatives and everything. It was very personalized. There was never parades or big parties or anything like that we know, these carnivals and parades. That only came about because I guess I'm not a huge James Bond guy, and I watched a few of them, but Inspector, and one of the scenes, they're in Mexico City, and there's this giant parade where you see now what we know as the skeletons that they use in Dia de la, that are very ornate with a lot of colors and stuff. That Mexico City, Mexico isn't the most well-off country, but they saw this and they saw an opportunity in this movie to capitalize on it because people after the movie started searching Dia de la Muerta like crazy. It became one of the most popular search things on Google. So they saw a way to kind of bilk us, white people that love to sort of infringe on other cultures and bite off other cultures. They saw a way to make a dollar, and so now it's one of the largest celebrations. What the largest, I believe, is in Mexico City, and like I said, this Terra it's like second, third, fourth, maybe largest in the world. But I found that fascinating. It's only been around for maybe 10 years ish.
That's, my mind is almost literally blown. Like that's I never would have I yeah, I feel I feel like a little part of me just died because I always just thought, yeah,
Yeah.
that's weird. That's cool. I mean, I was today years old, so
I've been maybe a couple weeks or a couple months since I've known this, and I was same as you. My jaw, I was like, "What do you mean?"
yeah.
Like I can't. It didn't make sense to me. But anyway, thought that was interesting. So let's talk a little bit about the hauntings. So while the mines are closed now, people claim that you can still see ghosts of some of the miners entering and exiting the mines, and some also claim to hear muffled talking or humming or whistling coming from the mines. And then there's the Starlight Theater, which reopened, is supposedly another place where you experience actual apparitions. People have also claimed to hear door slamming, muffled laughter, applause, orbs, and even cold spots throughout the theater. Then I didn't really talk about it before, but there's the Old Town Jail is said to be pretty active, where you hear whistling, screams, again talking, cell door slamming. And then I like this one. One person claimed, because it brings me back to like old Western films, where a cowboy's in like some Western jail with his metal cup and he's putting it against
Yeah.
somebody claimed that they heard that coming from the old jail. So and then finally I'll talk about, and I just kind of briefly mentioned, but the cemetery, which is said to be one of the most haunted cemeteries in all of the United States and is the most photographed cemetery in all of the United States. Guys, do a Google search of the Terra Cemetery. It's really cool looking. For any of you out there that are listening, it's just a different feel to like a lot of the cemeteries like we have up in the Northeast and everything. Super interesting. And the Dia de la Muerta parade goes all throughout the cemetery, which is kind of cool. But so with so many of the past Terralingua residents succumbing to the Spanish flu of 1918 and 1919, as well as the residents dying prematurely from the mercury poisoning. It's no wonder that it's so that this is one of the more haunted spots within the town. Some of the things that you hear are, obviously the weird sounds. People have claimed to see apparitions, walking throughout the graves. People have claimed to hear screams and see orbs and see ghostly children, which, guys, if you listen to our episodes, I find ghostly children really creepy. And usually it's at night, but yeah, that is the ghost town of Terralingua.
So that's, it's so funny because I feel like it was only a couple episodes ago we were just talking about the Texas Chainsaw, and then you start talking about a ghost town in Texas, and like that's immediately I'm like, I know you're talking about Cinnabons, and I'm hungry, and I don't like. It's been a whirlwind of emotions for me. But no, that was awesome. I love ghost towns, and you know what I think I've learned about myself, like right now.
What's that?
Is whenever you mention there's. I think two things you can mention when it comes to a haunting, and it just sends chills up my spine. Kids, every time I get freaking chills. Whistling for some reason is so like, it's just I don't know what it is. I like talking is creepy, I know, and blah blah blah, but like, yeah, whistling for some reason is so.
I agree, and I don't know why. Like, part of me thinks it might be because usually you associate whistling with like a good mood. People that are whistling are usually happy and in good mood, but then you're hearing it from something that's deaf and probably died in a really bad way or something.
If you hear voices, it could possibly be debunked as like, this pipe is rubbing against the wall, or it's this floorboard is creaking, or a lot of things can be construed as a voice, but like if it's a deliberate whistle, there's not a lot of things else that it can be. If it's a deliberate human sounding whistle, there's not a lot of things you can rub together that are gonna
make it
give
human.
you a come hither whistle.
That's a great point. I hadn't really thought of that because I'm 100% on there with the children, but that now you got me on that too. The whistling is creepy for sure. Yeah, because they're really, like you said, for a human whistle, it's a very distinct sort of unique sound. So, yeah, for sure. It's, I'd love to, cool little place, the ghost town of Terralingua.
Absolutely. All right, so I have the strange encounter for today, and it's short, but just like the reason I pick most of my strange encounters, the explanation they give blows my mind. So
I'm excited because I know some of these explanations are so crazy, and oh god, I'm excited.
Yeah, it's they really think we're stupid, but it's okay. I digress. I will tell you about the strange encounter, and then we'll chat. So I'm going to talk about the Leveland UFO case. It's Levelland. I've seen Leveland and Leveland. I'm not sure which one it is, but this happened between November 2nd and November 3rd of 1957. On this night, leading from the 2nd to the 3rd, more than 15 calls in one small town. I don't know what a small town in Texas is because I've heard everything is bigger, so it might be a big town, but for Texas, it's a small town. More than 15 calls were made in a very short span of time, reporting very similar things. So one call was made by two men who were, I believe, driving home from work, and while driving, their engine died. And when they got out to investigate, a large rocket-shaped object began to approach the truck, accompanied by a flash of blue light. And as the men started to run away, the object fled over the truck with such power that it sounded like thunder as it whooshed over. Yep. There was a farmer, similar situation, was in his truck. The engine stalled, and he saw a glowing object on the ground that was 100 feet long and egg-shaped. And sorry. And when the car stopped, it appeared and then disappeared, like took off just as quickly. So again, it took off very quickly, just like the first encounter. There were a couple other situations where it was, like I said, it was vehicles stalling, lights, things flying by, sightings in the sky. So more than 15 calls of this nature, and of those calls were farmers, military people, police, medical professionals, all people that you expect to have their faculties about them, so it's not going to be.
Yeah, you don't expect these people to be just making up some crazy story.
So if you can see me, you're going to see that I'm going to do air quotations for this because I think this is ridiculous. The official theory given to explain how this couldn't possibly be a UFO is that night there happened to be some storms nearby, so the only possible explanation, and I don't know if you guys can sense the sarcasm in my voice yet, is that it must have been ball lightning. So ball lightning must have occurred more than 15 times in a very short period of time in this small town on this same day. Because there's 0% chance it's anything else but this incredibly rare anomaly that is ball lightning. More than 15 times.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So, yeah, your face looks like my face when I read that initially. I was like, are you kidding? But yeah. So how do you feel about that, Tom?
All right. So, ball lightning. First of all, I find it what a weird coincidence. I just saw a video. I just learned about ball lightning yesterday. Seriously. And guys, we don't like, when we're doing our research, it's not like we're talking to each other. We're doing this stuff. We do our research separate so that we can kind of like surprise each other or whatever. And yeah, I learned about ball lightning, how rare it is, and I saw a video of ball lightning for the first time yesterday. So just a weird little coincidence there, because I probably heard the term, but I just really never knew what, never questioned it, never like thought much about it. And then, so very bizarre that that's their explanation. It is, from what I've learned in yesterday in the short amount of research I did after seeing the video, it is extremely rare. Extremely rare. Apparently, supposedly, not even apparently, supposedly, back in the day, Nikola Tesla was able to recreate ball lightning, but somehow his notes on it have been lost to time. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. Nikola Tesla was very active with electricity and stuff and learning it and stuff like that. But it is extremely rare. So, of course, that's what they're going to say, that it happens 15 times in a small town. I mean, like you said, the explanations are sometimes, or a lot of times, way better than actually what happened, because it's just, like you said, they think we're stupid. And, yeah, that one does it. And what I've seen and kind of learned about ball lightning is that not always, but a lot of times it's very low to the ground and stays low to the ground and then just kind of disappears. It doesn't like whoosh away, anything like that. You know what I mean? Which some of these people are saying. And so
it's certainly not 100 feet long either.
It's a ball. Yeah, like you said. And now you're seeing, I believe, because I was taking notes, 100-foot long and egg shaped. Yeah, that's not that's not any ball lightning that I've ever heard of. Not that I'm an expert on it. I only learned yesterday, but yeah, that doesn't make any sense. But I love it. I mean, like I said, it's sometimes the short ones are great, and like you said, this one, I for me, there's a lot to it just for the fact that they got over 15 calls, and these people were from all walks of life. Like you said, you had farmers and whatever, and so a lot of people that you would expect, not people that you would typically expect to make up stories, but then again, even if they were making up, what are the chances that all these people, like, on the same night decided to make up the same exact story and call separately? You know what I mean? Like, because from what you've said, it's not like all these people were just in, like, it was this small group of friends that one happened to be a farmer, one happened to be a scientist. No, these are people from, different parts and whatever seeing it. So I love it. I don't, sometimes the simple short ones are, hold more credence than the ones with the super lot of detail and stuff. So yeah, fascinating. And like I said, just what a coincidence that I just learned about ball lightning yesterday. And that's the explanation. Very, very, I love it. Good pick.
Thank you.
So, well, yeah, I mean, we got anything else to talk about this week?
I don't think so. I think that's just about everything.
All right, so a little bit shorter than last week's episode, guys. If you haven't checked it out, though, last week's a great episode. A little supersized, a runtime almost an hour or right around an hour, but really good stuff on the Skinwalker rant. So be sure to check that out and any of our other episodes, because they're all great. You'll learn a lot. But thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and make sure to tune in next week when we set up camp in the state of Washington. I'm excited. So thanks, guys, and happy camping. Have a good one.